Hi everybody. Since the past 10 years, India has seen an extraordinary growth in its economy. And this is in spite of COVID, in spite of the Russia-Ukraine war, and in spite of the Israel Palestine war.
आज दुनिया ये महसूस कर रही है कि इंडिया मीन्स बिजनेस.
Analysts expect India to retain its position as the world's fastest growing major economy this year.
India will have probably the greatest growth rate, the fastest growth rate economically.
I think India has more promise than any large country in the world.
And this is the reason why not just Indian entities, but even foreign countries and companies have applauded India for the extraordinary growth that we have achieved. Now, whenever this extraordinary growth happens, the most important benefit that we get at the global level is better credit rating. As in, we get the ability to borrow more money both with loans and bonds. Because if you look at the most developed countries in the world, the core reason or the core instrument of their growth has been debt. In fact, if you look at this graph, America's debt just crossed its World War II level. And this is not just the case with America, but even Japan, China and Singapore have debt levels which are more than 100% of their GDP. Whereas India only has a debt to GDP ratio of 81%. But you know what, guys? In spite of being the fifth largest economy in the world, in spite of being the fastest growing economy in the world, in spite of never defaulting in our history, India's credit rating in the world is so bad that we fall way below countries like Peru, Philippines and even Kazakhstan.
Moody's Investor Services cut India's sovereign credit rating by a notch to the lowest investment grade with negative outlook.
India's credit rating at Baa2 is the second lowest investment grade score.
India, which is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, actually has one of the lowest investment grades.
This is the reason why we are being asked to pay thousands of crores in extra interest, and foreign portfolio investment in India is getting heavily impacted. Eventually, the Indian economy is losing thousands of crores in interest every single year. And if we want to become the third largest economy, we have to eradicate this obstacle before it topples us. This is the reason why the Indian Finance Ministry has put out an entire research paper on why the credit agencies need to change the way they look at India. So if you're a business student, a consultant, a UPSC student, an economics student or an investor, this is one of the most amazing economics case study you will ever study. So in this episode today, let's do a deep dive and try to understand what exactly is a credit rating and why is it important? Why is India being discriminated by these credit rating agencies? How does it cost thousands of crores to the economy of India? And what are the flaws that our ministry has pointed out? Before we move on, I want to thank my favorite sponsor of all, and that is Wint. And they are my favorite sponsor because Parsh and I have personally invested in Wint. You see, whenever we look to park our emergency fund, most people invest in FDs, and 90% of the FDs in India give us less than 8% interest. And we settle with this less interest because of the safety that it provides with fixed interest, right? But what if I tell you that you could get up to 9.5% interest on your FDs, and that too with the highest level of safety? Well, this is where, ladies and gentlemen, Wint comes in. Wint is a Zerodha-backed startup which provides a chance to invest in high-interest Unity Small Finance Bank FDs. And while 90% of the FDs in India give you less than 8% interest, FDs on Wint give you up to 9.5% interest. And the best part is, your investment will be insured by the Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation, which is the subsidiary of RBI. And you will have an insurance coverage of up to 5 lakh rupees. So you can enjoy the dual benefit of safety and high interest with the FDs on Wint for your emergency funds. So if you want to park your money in a safe but high interest instrument, then use the link in the description, invest in FDs on Wint and let your money grow safely and quickly. And now on with the episode. To understand what a credit rating is, you must first understand something called sovereign bonds. And you must have seen this word sovereign bonds pop up very often in news debates. So let's understand the concept of sovereign bonds using a story. You see, when Indian government needs money for a project, they issue bonds. So today, if India wants to build another Atal Setu, India would issue a 20,000 crore bond. So this bond will be split into 10,000 units with each unit worth 2 crore rupees. So when investors like you, me and a foreign investor buy these units, we are practically investing with the Indian government, and in return, every year, the government will pay us interest. Let's say this interest is 3% and the tenure is 30 years. So if you, me and the foreign investor bought 1 unit of this bond, then for the next 30 years, each of us will receive 3% of the principal as interest. So in this case, every year, we will get 6 lakh rupees in interest, and at the end of 30 years, the government will give us back 2 crore rupees of our principal. So every year we will get 6 lakhs in interest, and at the end of 30 years, the government will return our principal of 2 crore rupees back. This is how the government borrows money from the investors and returns the money to the investors along with interest. Also, when I own these bonds, I can even trade these bonds in the secondary market. As in, after buying the bond unit for 2 crore rupees, I can sell the bond to you and you will receive the interest after you buy the bond from me. It's just like me selling my house to you, whereby after the purchase, you will get the rent for my house. Now the catch over here is that if the reputation of India at the global stage goes down, then I will sell you this bond at just 1 crore rupees. Why? Because I might be scared that India might not be able to return my principal. So now, if you bought this bond from me at 1 crore rupees, the interest that you will get is still 3% of 2 crore, which is 6 lakhs, right? So effectively, you are getting an interest of 6%. And this interest is what you call as bond yield. In simple words, it's almost like I bought a house for 2 crore rupees, which gave me a rent of 6 lakhs. So my rental yield was 3% with respect to the cost of my purchase. But when I sold the house to you at 1 crore rupees, the house still gives you a rent of 6 lakh rupees. So your rental yield is effectively 6%. So the interest is what the government decides to pay you, and the yield is what the market forces determine based on the reputation of the country. Now the question over here is, as a foreign investor, how will you know if a sovereign bond is risky or not? In this case, if you are a foreign investor, how will you know if India is capable of paying back the debt or not? Well, this is where the West became an opportunist to give us an unfair disadvantage and to give themselves an extraordinary leverage. And this is where we saw the rise of credit rating agencies. So there are 3 credit rating agencies that rate every country based on their research. They are Moody's, Fitch and S&P.
From handing out the coveted AAA credit rating to downgrading countries on the basis of a glitch in performance, the ratings agencies, headed by the big 3 of Moody's, Standard & Poor's and Fitch.
Fitch Ratings is a leading global provider of credit ratings, commentary, and research.
They each analyze how much risk here is involved in a country's debt. They assign a grade to show a country's ability to pay back their loans.
It is a report card, but for governments. The rating helps them decide whether or not they should stay invested in a country.
So if you look at this chart, they have a rating system that starts from AAA, which indicates that the bond is of the highest quality, and it goes all the way down to D, which says that the country is almost about to go bankrupt. So if these ratings go down, then the cost of the bond in the secondary market goes down. For example, let's take the hypothetical Atal Setu story. So in our sample case study, the bond units were sold for 2 crore rupees and the interest was 3%, which means 6 lakhs will be paid to investors and 2 crore in principal will be returned to the investors after 30 years. Now, when the bond was issued, let's say the Moody's was rating India as AAA. So all the investors trusted India and bought all the bond units at 2 crore rupees per unit. But one fine day, let's say Moody's decides to degrade India's credit rating to BB because they think India is not growing fast enough. So now the investors who bought these bonds at 2 crore rupees might get scared, and now they might decide to sell this bond at 1.5 crore rupees in the secondary market. So if you buy this bond at 1.5 crore, you will get 6 lakhs in interest, which means the yield is now 4%. And this is where, ladies and gentlemen, the entire game changes. Let's say India wants to build another project. Let's call this project the Bharat Mala. For this again, India needs 10,000 crores. So again, India will issue 10,000 units of bond with every unit costing 1 crore rupees each. But this time the Indian government will have to provide an interest of 4% minimum. Why? Because if it gives out 3% interest, then the investors will say, Modi ji, listen, we are getting a yield of 4% on your previous bond. Then why should I buy this bond that is paying me only 3% interest? So now India will have to increase the interest to 4% because if we don't, investors won't buy our bonds and we won't have money for Bharat Mala. So do you see what happened? When the Moody's downgraded India's credit rating, the investors who had our bonds started selling the bonds at a lower cost in the secondary market. So the yield of our old bonds increased from 3% to 4%. So now we are being forced to issue an interest of 4% for our new bonds. Now just so you realize the cost of this, here's a calculation. If we borrowed 10,000 crores at 3% interest, then every year we would pay 300 crores in interest for 30 years to our investors. So the total cost would be 9,000 crores in just interest. But at 4%, we would pay 400 crores for 30 years, which increases our interest to a staggering 12,000 crores. So do you see, just because of Moody's downgrade, in this example, we have to pay 3,000 crores extra in just interest. Now, some people over here might say that, bro, US has the reserve currency benefit, but India does not have the reserve currency benefit. Well, that is true. But the fact of the matter over here is that Philippines or Peru do not have a better financial condition as compared to India, nor do they have a market which is as big as India. So when India is rated below Philippines or Peru, that's where the problem comes in. If this is very, very clear to you, let's look at how S&P rates India and Philippines, and you will see the drastic difference. If you see this chart, Philippines is rated BBB plus by the S&P. Whereas if you look at India's rating stands at BBB minus. And now, if you look at the 10-year bond yield of Philippines and India, this is what it looks like. While Philippines' 10-year bond yield stands at 6.3%, for India, it fluctuates between 7 to 7.5%. So for calculation purposes, let's consider it to be 7.5. So if Philippines and India both borrow 10,000 crores for a project, here's what the difference looks like. For Philippines 10-year bond, since it's 6.3%, Philippines will pay 6.3% of 10,000 crores, as in 630 crores in interest for the next 10 years. Whereas for India, because it is 7.5%, we will pay 750 crores in interest per year for the next 10 years. So after 10 years, if you see the calculation, while Philippines would pay 6,300 crores in interest, we would pay 7,500 crores in interest. And you know what? The fun fact over here is that India is 10 times bigger than Philippines in terms of population and 9 times bigger than Philippines in terms of GDP. And we are the 5th largest economy and the fastest growing economy in the world. And Philippines is nowhere close. But even then, we are rated much worse as compared to Philippines. This is one of the reasons why we are not able to borrow from the market at cheaper interest rates. So unfortunately or fortunately, this is the power of these credit rating agencies. So the question over here is, what exactly are the metrics based on which these credit rating agencies decide our bonds, and how are we rated so low, and what is the argument that the Finance Ministry of India has put forth? For this, I'm going to take the reference of this badass research paper that the Finance Ministry of India has presented in 2021. These graphs represent a correlation between some of the most fundamental economic parameters like GDP growth, inflation, and current account balance. And here's what it looks like. This paper shows 10 different graphs, and all these graphs have the same format. And if you understand this format, you will quickly understand all these graphs in just 5 minutes. So let's get started. This is a graph that shows the relationship between the GDP growth of a particular country in the x-axis and the average credit rating of a country in the y-axis. And in the y-axis, you will see that the rating goes from the lowest to the highest, and this line that you see is called as the trend line. This line states the average credit rating of the countries with respect to their GDP growth. For example, normally the countries that have had a GDP growth of 7.5% have had an average rating of 3.9, and the countries that have had a GDP growth of 1.25%, usually they have had a rating of 2.5. So if you look at India, we've had a GDP growth of more than 6%, and most countries that grew at 6% had a rating between 3.5 to 4. But shockingly, if you look at our rating, India stands at just 1. Similarly, if you look at this graph, this shows a relation between the credit rating and the year-on-year inflation percentage of the countries. So more the inflation, the worse your credit rating will get. In this graph, the trend line says that usually when a country has a CPI inflation of around 4.5%, most countries have their rating close to 2.4. But again, somehow we are rated at just 1 again. Similarly, we are also way below the trend line even in the graphs of short-term external debt and current account balance. So just like this, if you look at all these graphs, in every single graph where a parameter of these credit rating is concerned, we are way below the trend line. So by looking at all these graphs, you tell me guys, don't you feel like India is being discriminated? Because all the fundamental economic parameters are on par, and yet we are way below the trend line. On top of that, we have never defaulted on our loans. And you will be shocked to know that never ever in the history has the 5th largest economy in the world had such a bad credit rating. This is the reason why our finance ministry has been protesting against these credit rating agencies. Now, some people over here might say, bro, this government is very corrupt. Or someone might say that the government is taking up a lot of debt. That is the reason why we are being downgraded. Or some people might say, bro, you know what? The West is going against Modi ji because he is the leader of the century. Well, both these arguments are stupid because this downgrading of India has been happening since the past 20 long years. That is, even during the Congress times. So, long story short, these credit ratings have been costing our country heavily for the past 20 long years. And just like these graphs that I showed you, the ministry has also attached another set of graphs that have been plotted over a 20-year span. And the result is exactly the same. That is, we fall way below the trend line. So now the question over here is, how are these credit rating agencies openly committing such a big blunder and how are they getting away with it? Well, they simply play the game of perceptions. And if you look at this table, for Moody's assessment methodologies, only 5 parameters, I repeat, only 5 parameters are quantitative and 13 of these parameters are qualitative, which means only 5 of these parameters can be measured with data. And the rest of the parameters are evaluated based on expert perceptions. And obviously, no expert goes around every nook and corner of the country, right? And this is where, ladies and gentlemen, the problem arises. Because if they talk numbers, we could easily argue with numbers. But if they talk perception, the debate is useless. So basically, 13 out of these 18 assessments are impacted by judgments and perceptions. Similarly, if you look at this table, Fitch says that these are the weightage that they provide to all the parameters. So GDP per capita has 12.4 points and government debt to GDP has 4.5 points and so on and so forth. But they also go on to state that these weights are for illustrative purposes only, which means this is their grading system, but they may just choose to not follow it at all. Like, what nonsense is this? Secondly, the ministry also points out that these agencies expect us to function like Western countries. For example, the ratings say that a country will get more points if they have more foreign investment in their banks because public sector banks have political interference. But if you look at India, we need public sector banks to cater to the lower economic strata. In fact, SBI and the other public sector banks have been the pillar of Indian banking for a very long time. And they are the reason why today a Jan Dhan Yojana type idea has been wildly successful. They are the reason why today every Indian has access to a bank account. So India says that we cannot function like you just because you want us to. We have to look at our people and design systems and policies accordingly. And you know what? Lastly, these agencies don't even reveal their criteria of selecting their experts. So all the countries across the world are just expected to accept the judgment of somebody who has been picked by an agency for some random unknown reason. This is the reason why India is pushing hard to tell the world and these agencies to change their method of evaluation and to change their perspective of India. So now what remains to be seen is how will these credit rating agencies react and whether they change the perception of India or not. This is the story, concept and the argument behind credit rating and India's answer to these agencies. And I just hope you learned something valuable from this case study. That's all from my side for today, guys. If you learned something valuable, please make sure to hit the like button in order to make YouTube Baba happy. And for more such insightful business and political case studies, please subscribe to our channel. And do check out the amazing FDs on Wint Wealth from the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.